to, and we're more of a threat to the, let's say, the brand or system.
So for me, the greater dilemma is, if you look at the progression of America, is that when things come to African Americans or they're in the African Americans court, or with something we're struggling with, or we're gonna punish it by law, we're gonna lock them up, we're gonna incriminate them, we're gonna destroy them via the media. Look at our churches get to their plight, they destroy our churches. Look at our civil leaders, they get in government, they find every way to pull the rug. Every black mayor that is successful, they pull the rug from beneath their feet. We deal with drugs, or we declare the war on drugs. But in reality, America does not address issues until it gets to the masses. I.e., look at the drugs. They say it's a drug problem. No, it's not a drug problem. It's actually a government problem because they're allowing the drugs to come in here. Now what they're seeing massacre, not just on black people within the community. Not only do we have to lock these guys up for having guns and drugs in their own community, but now it's getting to the media and it's affecting the masses. Oh, drugs get into the county and the suburbs. Oh, we now have a drug health issue. Oh, now it's a drug, now it's a gun problem in Vegas. It's a gun problem in this church that's not really, is the church black? The church is not black. Now Trump wants to say it's a mental illness, but what Trump doesn't really understand what he's saying is that you really don't get mental illness without a spirituality problem. Because psychology is really the study of the spirit, not the study of the mind by virtue of behavior. So you got to understand what America is wrestling with. We're wrestling with a spiritual issue. America was established to be free. And the fact that they've been wrestling with freedom amongst themselves because they subjugated a people in order to gain their freedom, to fight for their freedom, we've been wrestling with this whole idea of being spiritually free for a long time. So this isn't anything new. I'm not really bothered by it. I'm hurt, I'm saddened, I pray for the people, but in reality it's going on in our community every day. How do these guys in America get these guns? How do these guys in our community get these guns? They ain't making the guns. How do they get the drugs? It ain't a mental issue, it's a spiritual issue. America is a spiritual country, and the more we suppress it, and the more we try to put it on the back burner, is the more it exposes itself. You gotta think about this: the Exorcism movies ain't about black people; it's about white people. If you know anything about the Exorcist movie, if you really want to talk about the Illuminati, study those Exorcist movies. They'll tell you that it's the Catholic Church. America is a Catholic country. As much as they try to push it out, if you look at the 13 colonies in Virginia, in Maryland, and in Pennsylvania, they have the oldest basilicas in America. We have a spirituality problem. Yeah, we want to be free. Yeah, we want to search and find our own freedom. But in reality, America is a Christian nation. And the more you push it out, I don't want to infringe upon nobody else's belief. We have a spiritual problem in America. And the fact that we're diminishing the black church in our own community, it's an attack on the black church. You see before he started the recent massacre started happening in the church, it started with the black church. It started with the AME church, which was the oldest black church, oldest black denomination. So it's really an attack on spirituality. But if we're not awakened to that, y'all talk about being conscious. No, being conscious ain't about being able to read a lot or know what's going on with your people. Being conscious, being able to tap into that spiritual fiber, that metaphysical fiber that goes beyond your melanin, then we'll be able to address the issue. Because you got to understand this. And our ancestors messed us up because they made us passive. So when you shoot our people, when you slap our people, we'll deal with it, we'll mourn, we'll say you're wrong, but then we'll love you. No, we don't need to love our people. We need to pray for them. We need to hold them accountable. Because the more they do to us and the more they suppress us, the more we love them. So we really got to address the issue about spirituality.
Can I ask this question? Because I keep saying prayer and it's starting to piss me off. I made sure I made a very, very distinct comment when this happened. I said my prayers or my thoughts are not going to any person who is dead. I'm saying, we've been praying since we were on the boat. I think, personally, praying, is one of our biggest passivity measures that we've used in this day, where people can then say, what does everybody say on the news? Every single legislator, every person of power, and your local everyday people, our thoughts and prayers. And then people think that with their thoughts and prayers, that the job to solve the issue has been done. I'm sick of thoughts and prayers. We're going to keep thinking. We just gave out our thoughts and prayers in Las Vegas. We just gave them out.
And see, that's the ignorance, because they tell you to pray, but they don't tell you to pray.
Brother.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. That's why I come here, because I enjoy the conversations at the barbershop, right? So they tell you to pray, but you can't find an instance in the Bible where Jesus prayed and didn't do anything. He prayed for Lazarus, then he pulled them up. He prayed for the hungry people, then he broke the fish and the bread and he fed them. So they were ignorant. It's a spirituality problem. We bastardized the Bible and we demonized Jesus versus using Jesus to liberate a broken people. That's the real issue. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to say I'm kind of on the same side as you. Kind of irritates me a little bit when something happened. Well, I don't know what's happening. When it decided, it sounded like
Okay.
This is my personal thing. That irritates me a little bit when as soon as something happens, everybody's first thing is my thoughts and prayers, my thoughts and prayers, my thoughts and prayers, and it's like there's no action behind it. It's like everybody just kind of assumes if I put on Facebook, my prayers are with them, or if I say I stand with Houston, or I stand with somebody,
right.
or if I pray for somebody, like that does absolutely nothing. There's no action behind it. Praying is not a physical, actionable kind of thing. It's very easy to say, I'm going to pray for you, or I'm praying for this kind of individual. But if you don't actually take the time to try to make some reform, make some change about that situation, then nothing's going to happen. The same as when politicians say, well, now is not the time for politics, it's the time for prayer. We need to all come together.
us as people, I believe we don't have time to wait for a physical Noah's Ark. What would it really take for us people to really? Because what happens when there was a who's that hurricane?
What
The
it
hurricane
meant,
that hit
what
Texas.
it meant.
Who's that hurricane? Harvey. I laughed at that hurricane because I love when it happens because hurricanes don't discriminate. Weather never discriminates. I don't care how rich you are or how poor you are. A lot of people are in that water, rich and poor. And in that moment, people had to go back to that mindset of, oh, I need to survive. There was no time to think about, oh, I have this or I don't have that. It's how do I survive? But I think when the nomenclature of the world is quote unquote stable, like how it is now, we make it an optional thing. Like, you know, yeah, like you said, our hearts and prayers. You know what I'm saying? I'm with you. You know, I support Black lives. Pray for this. Blah 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 blah. But no action is being put upon that. And I said this weeks ago, is because we're not angry enough. You can say you're calm all you want. But let me ask you a question, calm people. How many times will I slap you in your face before you get angry? And that's the problem that I have with, you know, Martin Luther King, for instance. It took a lot longer for him to, in a sense, get angry. And by the time he got angry, it was too late, he died. And I think in this day and age, with whether it be gun control or us coming together as a people, is the unification of, are we all angry about the same thing? Are we all angry with the same intensity? You said you're the history buff. Napoleon, no one could defeat that army. But the people of Moscow said, fuck that shit. We're going to burn down our own houses. And they were weaker than him with artillery, so on and so forth, similar to how we are now. But they won, and they defeated him. But like I said, I think the distinguishing between, you know, is this person a black person really black, or this person, we're not really fired up enough. Like I hate to say it, but like, I'm gonna be real. I want something terrible to happen.
Nothing.
Absolutely catastrophic. I mean, hundreds and thousands of deaths. Because only when that happens do you ever get to, I'm keeping it real. The problem, one more example, I'm letting out. Before 9/11, we knew we had that problem in the Middle East. But it took for 9/11 to happen in the way it happened, and all those people dying, for us to make an actual strong-ass push to go into the Middle East and do things stronger than we've been doing for the last 10, 20 years. It's like we only act off a catastrophe. And it's unfortunate, but that is just I'm just trying to figure out what is it going to take for us to really band together and say, this is beyond us discussing. Like, how are we going to plan? How are we going to implement? How are we going to maneuver? How are we going to mobilize? Just my thoughts.
Well, I think, and I used to have a debate with people before the presidential election. And I said, I think Trump is better for our people.
Yes.
Than Clinton.
Yes.
Because I felt like, one, he would wake us up and let us know that we had this false sense that we made it as a people. I think he was going to give us a reality, smack in the face over. For me, they were kind of the same people, but different. It was just, you want to be robbed with the gun in your face or behind your back. Mm-hmm. And if the gun's in your face, you at least know who's robbing you and how to approach it. It's true. And I think it's starting to show, even if you see the elections, you see the language that is coming about in the idea of concept of unification. Now, I do think, if you got your history guy, I think the long-term play for us from the unification aspect is to really properly educate from a historical perspective who we are as a people. Long-term, because if one, it just creates a greater sense of pride into who we are. So I think that's part of our issues. We don't take pride in who we are. I think from a long-term perspective, we took pride into who we are. Not only would we see ourselves differently, but other races and cultures would see ourselves differently. So you wouldn't even have to hear the idea like, oh, my grandfather made it here as a veteran, why can't your people do that? Because they would know, oh, we did it with Black Wall Street and everything, but when we do it, we burn it down. Y'all just don't learn about those aspects about who we are. So long term, I think the play is to properly educate our history, the Mansa-Musa, those type of things, just take more pride into who we are as a people. Short term, I'll just, what we call it, Angela Rye, I just think we shop black, we support black, we buy black, you just think black first and however you can, because that creates that revenue. Obviously, economics is what drives a lot of things. So if you're shopping black, you're supporting our people. If you're supporting black, you're supporting us. And whether we're doing community events here, just building that unification. And what was the last one I said? I forgot the third one. So,
okay. It's deep stuff.
That'll pass the mic to.
Yeah, I agree. For my senior thesis, I wrote how to make low-income communities economically self-sufficient, right? And it's more than economics. You know, it's mental, it's psychology, you know, it's different aspects of that, you know. And for a black community that's a low community, you have to take into account all these little things that you need, you know, because if we pour money into this community, it still will get distorted outside the community, right? So it's teaching and helping these people. And then it's a drug situation, and then it's this. So we gotta pour all of these things into the center of it so that it can be more effective. And also, like, you know, we're in America, and we know the system, we know what's going on, right? And I solely believe that, like, we should form our own nation. I mean, I know I'm talking like Marcus Garvey or something like that, but
Louis Farrakhan.
yeah.
Apologize for that.
Right, don't
Don't
apologize.
apologize. That's the spirit.
Yeah, so like, I think that we really should form our own nation, because we have black people that can make nuclear bombs. We have black people that can make these weapons. We have black people that know economics, know history, know this, know that, doctors, lawyers. If we can get those black people and form our own nation and protect ourselves we don't need crying about people killing us, people doing this, because a lot of black people want to still be assimilated into the American culture, even though we are the culture.
I would think, and I agree with the nation building idea, but what I dislike, and I don't think we need a catastrophe, I don't think we need a hurricane, but what I dislike sometimes is that at some point, because Marcus Garvey said organize, organize, organize. At some point, people got to join organizations that's nation-building organizations. And ain't like they fall out. Ain't like they're not built. It's Temple of New African Thought in Baltimore City. It's Pan-African Liberation Movement in Baltimore City. It's Nation of Islam in Baltimore City. It's Tendaya right here. But people don't join organizations because people don't want to give up in their individuality. So at some point, in my opinion, people got to be willing to sacrifice stuff. They got to be willing to sacrifice their money, got to be willing to sacrifice their time, got to be willing to sacrifice their ego. But I don't think people, if we remain individuals, just doing our individual thing, then yeah, we're going to be like, pray for this and stand with this because we're helpless as individuals. But we only get power when we organize. But the thing is, when it comes to, I'm trying to recruit all the time. When it comes to getting somebody to join something that's really nation building, people ain't trying to do that. People is not trying to do that. People was getting crossed, people was crossing, people was joining NCNW, people was joining all these other things, and I respect y'all because that's men. You know what I mean? At least they part of something. But most people, we just individuals doing our individual thing, and we expect things to change. Like, things ain't changed because of individuals. Martin Luther King, SCLC, Huey P. Newton, Black Panther Party, Bobby Seale, Black Panther Party, Louis Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Nation of Islam. Yes. People don't change stuff. Organizations change stuff. And if you're not part of a nation-building organization, then your nation-building ideals, no offense, is void. How can we honor Marcus Garvey, but we not in part of a nation-building organization? That's his whole thing, is nation-building. That's his whole thing, his economic blueprint, that thing that he laid out. That wasn't an individual thing that we can all do separately. If we really about that, I feel like we got to give up our individuality and do that.
I think the struggle is this sister had her hand up.
I was just listening. So, to your point, Trinity, I definitely agree we gotta get more angry. Like, I'm so tired. And mind you, I'm a Christian, and I'm a firm believer that I wouldn't be standing here without prayer. Because prayer got our people through a lot of stuff. So the power of prayer, no matter what it represented for certain people, the power of prayer got us all here because somebody was praying, and that was and their belief in God, whatever God that was, if it was a European God or whomever, that got them, that helped them survive. So prayer is also a survival mechanism. I'm not saying we should just pray because faith without works is dead. And as you were saying, Jesus didn't lay his hand on Lazarus. Jesus laid his hands on Lazarus and said, "Get up," and pulled him up. He didn't just go, "All right, my disciples here, somebody, pray for them across the room." He went, touched a dead man, and pulled him out the ground. And that's what we have to do for our people. And to your point of nation building, I definitely agree we do need to join organizations. But if you don't know, if you've never experienced, or you've never been if your talent and your gift has never been cultivated, you are not going to know what to join. So your talent, so say, some people are not supposed to be on the front line. Some people not. Everybody's not made for that. You got a bunch of scary people going down to the police station, and it's only 10 of y'all to actually really stand there and stand your ground. And it defeats the whole purpose of all y'all walking over to the police station in the first place. If people are not cultivating the talents and gifts of other people, because everybody, again, can't be in the front. Like, some people have to be cultivated to be teachers, and then they can join those orgs. Some people have to be cultivated to be farmers and build that community. You got a bunch of black pastors here in Baltimore, a part of the Black Security Food Network, and we're teaching babies how to grow food.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, and that's happening in the middle of this city. But guess what? You will not find those same farmers at the police house. They teaching the babies how to grow food. You have to cultivate different talent before we're asking everybody to join stuff, because you're gonna have a bunch of people who's supposed to be in the front lines trying to teach, trying to sit there and be lunch monitors in the middle of Baltimore City Schools. You think that's gonna work out for them? They're not gonna be as passionate, they're not gonna be as inspired, they won't be as effective. So we really need to, instead of demonizing these folks for not getting angry, because they know they need to be angry, and I'm so tired of this apathy, I really am. But if we're gonna say they need to join stuff, we need to nation build, we also need to be the ones to be like, all right, here are all the many different ways of how to organize. There are many different ways, the many different fronts we gotta fight. Pick one, and then here's where you can go from there. If we're not telling people or showing people how because everybody in this room didn't get enlightened by ourselves either. We learned from somebody, we watched somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, we grew into that. And we gotta let people grow into being woke. And if that is, you an artist, great. I'm gonna connect you with another artist, and we can go do some graffiti downtown about how Black Lives Matter. That's something, we gotta get people started somewhere. You can't just expect them to be on the front lines, and they ain't never seen nobody on the front lines. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not in the age where we see a bunch of Marcus Garveys and MLKs. If you're not paying attention, you'll miss the people who doing the work. But they sitting right next to you, and you don't even know. But we demonize these folks for not just mobilizing themselves. Like, where they gonna learn from? If we don't have the patience to teach them, or the patience to connect them to somebody that can teach them. It's not enough to just be like, we gotta get them angry. We gotta be like, how do we cultivate them to be inspired to do more?
And think strategically.
And I think, because we got to move on to the next subject, but I appreciate it. It's going to all work together. I hear nation building. I heard strategy. A lot of that, what I thought about when you were talking, not to laugh at me, is Beyonce's song Formation. I think everybody overlooked that song.
I think we overlook it.
If you think deeper, that's exactly, in theory, what we need. Formation. Everybody, every duck in their row, everybody getting in line in the place that, hey, you might be doing agriculture, you might be doing art, you might be the front line, but we are all in sync. We are all connected, syndicated as one movement. So Baltimore has this program that might be reenacted, the Dollar House program. I'm not sure if you all heard of that. Something that worked in the 80s or so, and they want to bring that back. So solution-based, we heard so much about economy and money. When that program comes, or if that program is going to come, when that program comes, because it's inevitable, what are we going to do? Because now we got to move to solutions. We're good at listing problems. How are we going to use that incentive, that road, if you will, to build that nation building, to have your different people, to bring your people up, and maybe rebuild your Black Wall Street, if you will, or what have you, restoring Baltimore as one city to what it once was. What advantages are we going to take of a program like that?
We gotta, and there's no disrespect to anybody. We gotta sit right here. We say nation build. We not, and like I said, we are African before we are anything. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's the umbrella I'm looking at. I don't care, Christian, Muslim, whatever you stand for. That's you. That's you on that level. But I'm telling you, when it comes to nation building, I'm not talking about no church. And it's no offense, I'm not talking about no church. When we talk about a church, we always pass up in the church. They ain't talking about no violence. No violence. And that's what we do. We sit down and like I said, you pray to whoever you bring to. But at the same time, there's no action. You could be right here trying to help your family eat, but they still want their time, they still want their money. They still want all this. So I'm sitting right here, when I think about nation building, I'm thinking about, all right, look, we're gonna get this plan together, we're gonna get our mission together, we're gonna move strategically in the sense of we don't want everybody. We don't. Because we don't need everybody. I'll take a strong 10 before a some 50.
Go from there.
Can I get you to think even more critically? Curtis, I saw your hand up too. So where this topic and this question was, how would you, in your system, your perspective of nation building, how would you utilize the $1 buying homes program to utilize and build up a nation in your perspective here, utilizing that program as a liable and accessible resource that we can get to move further? How would you do that in the sense of the topic of the $1 home buying program to go towards your nation building?
Okay, for me personally, like I don't know about the program,
Right.
But
Ben, I ask that because did anybody read that, because y'all do know that we can't do that, right?
So normally you have.
You can't do that with this program. It won't be a nation building opportunity at all.
Not well. It depends on how
Explain
you
the
form it.
details so we all understand the
Yeah, we
program.
still gotta let Curtis go. Go ahead.
So-
No, I would have you wanted to say how.
I mean, it's one sentence. It's a dollar program that you have to stay in that home for at least 5 years, and you're not going to be able to sell that house to nobody else.
Oh.
Nor are you going to be able to.
That's even better. That's even better.
Well.
So-
But all you can do is live in it. So what are we going to do?
Yeah, that's
This is the second thing. But the predecessor.
I heard you can only get one. That's what I heard.
Well, we ain't gonna
That's
talk
what I
about
heard.
it, Barry. We're gonna talk about it in the sense of, I got what you, because we're gonna build off of that critical.
Well, 650, even 650. I mean, but most homes you gotta have like a 620, 625 to qualify anyway. So 650 is probably just a little bit
They're
high.
gonna need a credit score anyway, because we buy a $1 home, it's not renovated.
That's right.
So then you
It's beat up as a mug.
for that.
Yeah, so that's what
I have to
it
be able to get a loan regardless of the $1.
Right, so I actually know more
if there's
about
a credit
that.
score.
You
You know, I can't renovate the home unless I'm sitting on an ass of cash. Then credit doesn't matter.
Ass of cash.
And
Y'all
that's
funny
where-
today.
So that's where the nation building comes in. But on the flip side, you gotta be mindful of what they're actually talking about. Because what happens is, you say you do get families to buy these houses, then it's a housing market problem, because you put these families in that bought the house, that had the credit score for $1, but they got the job to finance the house. Then the housing market plummets again, and now it's the government. Now it becomes our people issue again. So you got to be mindful of the flip side of it, because the dollar home
Why
value.
we need that home?
Now-
Move into another home and then manage both homes. That's what I'm saying. The reality is the people that are going to be able to do this is the people who already had homes.
Not necessarily true.
Yeah, that's not, hold on, let me speak.
I'm just saying the broad spectrum.
That's why this conversation.
My bad, but yeah.
Right. So, in the aspect of how a project that I'm working with for a couple guys right now, and I'm looking for some other young-minded, like-minded individuals. We get 10 people together and invest into $2,000 a piece, and get $20,000 in equity. I have an older group of individuals who's about 50. They are a social impact development group. They just bought this big building on Baltimore Street. So I work in this neighborhood as a developer. And one of my guys from high school, we're looking to create a program that trains high school students using our trade schools of Carver, Mervo. So going back to the high schools and be able to give these guys an internship. Then they're going to build into an actual corporation part, and these same guys is now going to have equity. So your internship is going to be learning on-base training skills. We'll purchase the house, and these high school kids is going to have equity in this house. So in 3 years of the program, by the time they graduate, that house can become their house. So they're going to be able to inherit a house that they worked on from high school by the time they graduate. Now, and they have some they're going to have it as rental because they can't sell it. Like you said, it's a 5-year program. We're currently looking at the 2020 campaign and the vacancy to value campaign, just to using that leverage before the Dollar House program was even announced. And this is something that's like actively building, but it is a way that we can, as everyday citizens, reach one, teach one, going back and just getting that knowledge, because we don't know, myself included. I'm a carpenter, hand skills, but I don't know the buying and selling of houses. So just to being able to collect, get with a group of mentor seasoned guys, and it's 6 African American men. It's called the Social Impact Development Group, and they're looking for young men that they can mentor. So I'm looking to get at least 10 guys. It can be more, ages 20, 30 and under, entrepreneurs, 35 and under, and we be able to kind of build a team where you can learn and grow from people who has capital. Organizations like the Southwest Partnership is looking for developers. So, bringing in people to be able to leverage property between government, state money, or your personal financing and funding. But a way that I know and what we're looking at doing, getting the kids who's learning trades, teaching them, hey, it's more, you can now make money from this trade. You can now gain equity into a project. You can learn and work off your 3 years, and then your sweat equity goes into you owning this house. You can choose to live in it in 3 years, or you and your 3 friends can sell that property. But it's just a way that we create home buying in the neighborhoods, home ownership, and then a younger generation of power movers, a young generation of, you know, people, they understanding the power of $1 in high school versus I got out of the trade school and I knew because my parents was in entrepreneurship, but so many of my co-parts didn't go to college, you know, didn't choose certain avenues because they thought dollar wasn't important or math wasn't important. You know, that trade, they still don't work in that trade today, and you can just be your own sole proprietor and making money off your trade. So just really kind of teaching the importance of $1, why working matters, you know, why you know just the paper too. You gotta learn the importance of the diploma, the degree, why education is important, because people don't care. They really don't give a damn. There's no hope left in the community. People don't care to say cleaning up your own trash out front of your own doors. And why is that even trying? That's a question I would like to propose, and maybe somebody here or we all can think about why we don't have the hope anymore, why we don't care. Because that right there is going to be the biggest challenge moving forward when you're trying to motivate the masses. We are a small group of like-minded folk where compared to them it's like 1 to 1 million of everybody else in the neighborhood who really don't care enough to motivate or mobilize.
So that's being done through the already existing Making the Value program?
No, that's a program that I'm working with 3 other guys right now. So under wraps.
All right, this is so y'all gonna buy the property.
Yeah, so we got like Bruce Street up in Franklin Square. That whole neighborhood is the vacancy value neighborhood in Mount Clair as well. So it's a whole Bruce Street, and they trying. There's 200 houses on north and south side of that block, and they looking for developers. So to be able to get 16 people.
I mean, because I'm working on the same exact. That's hard for me to even sit right here. And my crew is working on the same exact program. Like, bro, you just put tears in my eyes. Like, what's the odds of sitting in the same room as another black man? I swear on my mother's grave, bro. We worked on the same exact program. We already had like a lot of programs that would do that. That's why when you were saying a little bit what you were saying is the thing about the dollar house, you gotta have the actual resources to be able to remodel that house and bring that house back together. So the dollar part is the easy part. So some people look at that as the most challenging part. Actually, if you qualify and got your ducks in order, that's the most easy part. The part comes in play is that they want you to have the resources of what it's going to cost for that house to be redone. So if you get a shell and the house is destroyed from top to bottom, how much is it going to cost to reconstruct that house? Is it going to be $100,000? Is it going to be $80,000? Is it going to be $150,000? Is it going to be $60,000? So these are the things that they want you to have. You have to have the resources to be able to remodel the house before they even give you, like they'll give you the house for $1, bro. They'll do that. But if you don't have the resources to fix the house, then that's where a lot of people have been coming into hiccups. That's why a lot of these big organizations have been coming in, like down by Johns Hopkins. We looking into getting it down there, but it's become very challenging. It's supposed to have been actually for a lot of minorities to get in down there. What happened was people that was trying to get down there, they didn't have the resources to actually reconstruct those homes. So that's when they let those big companies coming down Johns Hopkins and buy blocks. So those companies, they can come in and get the houses for pennies because they have the resources to fix up a whole block.
That goes back to institution building, because if you know and look at the businesses that did that, it was Johns Hopkins subsidiaries. They came in and bought those buildings. But there's one, you talk about black institutions, there's one black institution in most of these urban cities that had the power to buy homes. It wasn't the schools, it's the churches, right? And I actually on a chat with pastors around the nation said that if a church took their income and took 10 families and sponsored them their $80,000 to $100,000 loan to get this house, that's nation building. But I'm a proponent of the church, And this is going worldwide. Some of the church has the power to transform the city in terms of nation building.
Makes that hard in the church. We talk about that.
Like you said, church has been around for forever.
But so I think that's hold on. I think that's part of the issue that
The churches through the churches.
I'm not disagreeing that to say that. I'm just saying that. What are we waiting on?
So I think. Let me speak for 1 second, brother. I think part of the issue is though, when we see people not operating how we see fit, we kind of knock them for that. And the reality is, we might not know, I know the whole story of a lot of these situations, but it leaves like a bitter taste in a lot of instances. And I can speak from experience because some of this stuff that you're saying, I know churches that try to do it. Sometimes the city doesn't allow them to do it.
Yeah.
The city might. I know some churches, the church trying to buy multiple homes, but the city wouldn't deny them. But at the same time, we have this brand of perspective. The church is not doing anything in the community, and that's part of the issue, right? That we sometimes knock our organizations and our leaders too quick when they're not operating how we see fit.
Yeah.
So, hold up. So touching upon there's three things that really generate wealth, just in general. So you have investing in the stock market, you have inheritance, you have real estate. So the brother asks, what can we do immediately to to handle this issue? How many people here are homeowners? So what we can immediately do, we can immediately buy a block, right? And it's part of the issue with the black community. When we buy homes, we look at them as lifetime homes, right? They're not starter homes. That's kind of a white term. It's something white people say starter homes. We can look at this as a starter home, and after that 4 or 5 years, and the value has multiplied because we're all buying this block at one time. Then we can take out the equity of that home and go buy another one and build our community and so on and so on. And we're controlling the community because we're the lords of the land, right? We're controlling it and we own it. So that's immediately how we can do it. A lot of us don't own homes here. Let's pick a block. And we know we're going to control that block because we're people who take pride in who we are, we take pride in our community. And in doing that, the value of that home, we pay $1 from it. We may put no more than $70,000 into the home. And the home's probably going to, what's that?
7,250.
Yeah, but I mean, you want it to be location, how grand you want it to be, and that's based off of you. But I'm saying you can put 60, 70, and I have a developer for you. That in that home, they can be very much livable, and you could probably make 30 to 40,000 off of it in a couple of years, and then we just move on to the next one. That's something actionable that we can do if y'all was really serious about moving into a home right now, like when that program comes out.
So when go back to what you were saying about, you gotta stay in the house for 5 years. First of all, we need to be there for at least 5 years. You want to renovate it, you want to help it grow, you want to sustain it, you want other people to buy the house who's on the block. That way the property value of the whole entire block raises. So when we let it go, because we don't want to sell it next year. We want it to keep building, keep building. 5 years from now is when we do want to sell it. You feel what I'm saying? And also, I lost my train of thought. What would you say right for that?
About the three things of inheritance.
Well, we're talking about real estate, and how, and who can go into those homes and buy those homes. So the issue is, you gotta have a 650 credit score. Most people in the hood ain't got no credit, or this or that, or whatever. But the key is, a lot of us are just graduated college, a couple years removed from college, still kind of at home with your parents, knocking on doors of your career, right? Okay, so now, I step foot out of college, I move back into the house with my parents. These are all the students that go to Morgan State, Howard, Coppin, so on and so forth, Temple, wherever, black, young, aspiring professionals that's coming home to live with their parents, about to make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, right? Those are the people who buy the dollar house, who ain't in the need, who don't have to rush out of their home or live in the house as it's being renovated. Like right now, if I buy a dollar house, I got decent credit and I take out a loan and I'm paying my loan payments or whatever and I'm getting it worked on, but I'm living with my mother. And then in a year, I'm able to move into that home with no mortgage. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, we first time homeowners, so there's grants for that. There are other programs for that. That's gonna put money in your pocket to help pay for the renovation because you don't have a mortgage to start off with. You feel me? That's how we gotta start to think. But the issue is, we get our degree from Morgan or whatever, and we go run smooth out of the city as fast as we can. We trying to live out Towson, we trying to live in DC, we trying to live here, we trying to live in
That's been a 20-year crisis. Because the last time the Morgan and Coppin students stayed here was when Mayor Smoke was in office, and all the engineers from Morgan were working in the city, and now most of the city officials that are in those engineering positions are Morgan graduates. Because the last time that happened was when Mayor Smoke was in office, but we've allowed other politicians in here who didn't grab a hold of the universities, the other stakeholder in our community, to keep those institutions here.
Yeah, that's the biggest key. We talked about, you know, nation building and how it needed to be, or how, you know, the church, we can talk about that later, because the church had both blocks and put people in it. Turpin Lane, Prison lived that Turpin Lane, Turpin is a pastor, and the church owns many properties. But all that being beside the point, the college institution, they say it's only two, what's the word I'm looking for? It's only two places in the black community that's still thought of as sacred. The church, mosque, or any religious, you know, building that we have, and the HBCU. The HBCU has the power, we have two of them sitting in the middle of the city, the east and the west side, filled with knowledge, history, resources. Once the city and the community and the schools become one, then we fix all of our issues. We have all of the people that's gonna make money that has the mindset, you know, and the ability to put money in their pockets in order to sustain the community and be able to pay the bills, and all of those things can happen. Gentrification isn't a bad thing. Gentrification is because we need to revitalize the community. Gentrification is a problem because there's white people coming here to do it. You feel me? We should be moving into those houses in Pigtown. We should be moving into those houses in Lexington Terrace. We should be building those businesses that's about to come on Baltimore Street. We letting everybody else come do it, right? Because we run with our money. But we need to stay here, you know, and embrace gentrification and allow it to work for us. Black-owned businesses going up in those new shops. You know, we live in those houses that's being renovated with the deck on the roof.
If I may just throw this in there, I'm glad you brought up the schools. There's so many, you brought up the high school, you brought up the program that you're a part of. You mentioned the dollar program, you said something about what you're doing. There's so many ways to skin a cat. And I think there's no problem in us doing it all. For those who have the 650 credit score, y'all get the damn house. For those who don't have that, because they're in one of your two programs or what have you, as long as we're all in one syndicated mindset that this is the plan at the end of the day, doesn't matter. I mean, we're going to all be at different levels. I also think that in utilizing the HBCUs, a lot of Africans do this, who come to this country, who go crazy when they see that you can come to the government and need all this money to go to school. So they take their refund checks and they'll put them together and they'll invest in something. Now, granted, the truth of the matter is, that money that you take out of school, you're going to have to pay that money back eventually. But a lot of them become wealthy because they know what they're doing. They put that money together. For example, let me give you one simple example. You could buy a car here, a used Toyota, for $2,000, but sell it in Nigeria for $15,000. And they know that. So what a lot of them do is, if y'all give me $2, $3, they bring $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Come together, buy a whole bunch of cars, or what have you, and sell it and come invest. Now, granted, we don't all have to do that idea, but just the mindset. Right. I've always thought of this. The mindset of the money ain't free. The refund check ain't free money. You have to pay it back eventually. But while you have it, rather than buy clothes, we can invest in that money now. And I think a good way to move forward. There's so many educated minds. I mean, everybody here is over 21, right? Right. I wish somebody was having this conversation with me at 18. There's a lot of young minds in the schools that need to be hearing some of these conversations of many different methods. And maybe methods of how we can build. I just think that with all of our different methods in education, we just have to make sure that we're all syndicated on the same idea. No matter how we buy the block, we have to make sure that when that block is purchased, that we're all in one mindset of ownership and togetherness, nation building, etc. So you can't buy the block, but you're still going out to town to spend your money on food, to spend your money on this, put your taxes there. That's all.
What can us in the circle do to make the bond block, to make the house program? Like, how much money should individuals in the circle have to put up to make this a reality?
Can I say something? All right, so I mostly deal with people economics. It's really called collective money for big businesses. So I'm a homeowner. So what I did, what my team did, is 12 of us, right? So we put our money together in Drew Hill Park, right? Because it was a massive selling houses there. And And those houses there are not beat down, boarded up. You have to do a dollar program or something. I'm sorry. I don't know about the dollar program that much. But what we did is put our money together to buy those homes on auction, right? So what we did, we bought one and we bought two. So right now we have two houses, and they 3-story homes in Drewville, right? So we got 2 homes there, and we bought it at auction. House is nice, nothing bad. We do have to probably put in like 10,000 just to upkeep the house, right? So it's called collective money. So if you don't have a big credit score or whatever like that, get like-minded people together and form something. If you say, oh, I want a house, I know you want a house. Let's put our money together and let's split. And then
pay for those houses.
40,000.
40,000 each.
Yeah.
How much we work? How much are we work?
Like 300 something thousand.
Yeah.
So what he said is exactly how, a lot of white people enjoy families been enjoying for years. Hispanics. Actually, what people don't know, right now in America, Hispanics are generating more wealth in their families more than us, because one thing that they doing more than what our people are doing is they come together. See, Hispanics will be 12 people living in one house, and everybody will work a job and come together and put that money together in a pot to move and do something else and do the same thing over and over again. See, us, we feel like as soon as you get 18, 19, I'm getting my own crib, I'm moving out, I need my own space. See, right, it is. But my point is, we have a lot, somewhere, we've lost that. So what you just said with the collective money is you have to get together with some trustworthy people that you trust and care about, and that y'all not going to be on some crazy stuff. You put your money together, and then you go look at it and find a good investment for your bang for your buck. So exactly what he said, me and my crew did the same thing. So it started out as 3 of us. We all put money together in a pot. Brought our first one, put money in the pot again, brought our second one, and then there's something called strawing. Strawing is like, you buy a house with accent. You buy a house. So say if you get a house at auction, and you got the house for 40,000, like you just said a number, but the house might actually be worth 100,000 or 120,000. So you can actually pull a certain percentage of that equity out of the house. Once you pull that equity out of the house, you can then take the equity money to go buy another house, and you can continue to do that process as long as you are generating money without actually ever putting any money down out of your pocket besides when you first start. Now, when you first start, you gotta have the money to start the ball to roll. But once the ball starts rolling, you can then start using other money to push that ball, and you don't need to continue to put more money out of your personal bank account. See, these are things that are factual, and we've actually learned from older, wise white men, and we open our eyes like, oh shit, this what y'all doing. And another thing that people don't know about in our community is how the life insurance thing works. Life insurance is a major key and a major successful key of white families. White families will get and open up life insurance as soon as their child is born, right? If you get a life insurance that grows over the years from your child, by the time your child is the age to go to college, you will be able to pull out enough money to pay for your child's college and put down on a home, and you still get to have money. So if you start a $4,000 or $5,000 life insurance policy, and you have it from the time that child is born to the time they're about to go to high school, you can pull out 50, 60, 70, 80, 100,000 out of the life insurance policy and still have 400,000 left if you got like a 500,000. You took out 100, right? But you still got 400 left. But you've been paying on this for all these years. So that's something else that we don't know in our communities, how they get ahead of us. A lot of families, we wonder why they burn these kids. They got to sell meals and stuff to bury these kids. You know what I mean? I mentor kids in the city, and sometimes the kids get hurt or shot and they die, things like that. I got so many mothers. They got to do fundraisers or cook dinners to even pay for their child's funeral. A lot of these other families, if something happened to their family, they actually gain more wealth. Because once that child is born, they take it out of $500,000 life insurance policy ASAP. So it's just certain things that we need to learn and bring that awareness to our community insurances, period, is something that a lot of people in our communities don't have.
I got the
I would
insurance
say
plug.
also just to piggyback, not even just from the youth, you could use your elders too. So you guys have big families. I think the Asian community does this a lot. They'll take a life policy out. They'll put a pot together. They got a big policy on the elder and their family. So they collectively put up that money. So once the elder, now granted, you're gonna pay more because they're the elder. Once the elder passes, they're sharing that pot. They're leaving seeds back. So you don't have to necessarily just do it for the youth. You can do it from the elder perspective as well. So that's something. And again, there are 3 ways to generate wealth in communities: invest in the stock market, it's inheritance, or it's real estate. So we already talked about the real estate. That's just the inheritance. Another way that we can kind of leverage it. And they don't tell us that. It's just like we just
like that's scared though. It's tough because the other part when you saying free, it's called a gift to equity, and I wanted to touch that because you can, if we find nonprofits or other people that y'all know, business owners, they can give you a gift to equity, do that scared, and you get that property for free, essentially. And only money that you gotta match them with is the money to bring up that actual property. So now instead of the dollar program, we actually get the property, we get the equity. That's why it's called the gift of equity. And then you just gotta find the money to go ahead and get your joint together. Now, if you in Drew Hill, it's not much for you to do. If you downtown, it may be a little bit more for you to do, but if it's only one thing that you gotta worry about is doing the renovation, it's a gift. Look it up right now on your Google. I swear to God, y'all find it in 2 seconds. Gift of equity. No bullshit. And like you said, this is just wisdom that I'm learning just from working with developers. Like we started today about the whole not giving titles because we lost into it. That's why I said I'm just a personification of energy. But at the deeper part of it, like developments that's going on around here, I'm dealing with solar energy and also food development, like you were saying. But I want to ask you a question. How come we only look at just property and then we're not really reading the joint? Because I'm not going to say nothing really more deeper than that, but if y'all look at that report, that RFP for that, it gets way deeper, like way deeper into the incentives. Whereas though I'm telling you, like it's really not that easy, and there's a reason why they're doing that, because the areas that they want to utilize that money for, I'm hip to because I work with the HDC, and with the HDC, they're going to allow them houses to be given, but they want to be able to do it because they already know who's really going to be moving in quick. It's other programs out here like Project Baltimore that's kind of spin off of the one you were talking about, which nonprofits right now, that all these different nonprofits that's out here that's selling food and vegan foods and different things like that, they can get these joints right now for no bread. Same program. They give you the house. Governor Hogan, look it up right now. Project Baltimore, been out for 3 years now. They give you the crib, and they'll match you the money to go ahead and renovate it. The only difference is for every dollar that they end up giving you, you got to match. So if it's a big project, you're going to have to find another half of that bread. But the reality is none of these vacant homes in Baltimore are going for that. Hence why they're giving the dollar program. It's a lot of different ways to do it. I just asked, why do we only look at that? Because like with the food side of things, that anybody that's growing food, we need to build our nation, but that's where it starts. We have to be able to clothe ourselves. We have to have energy, and we have to be able to feed ourselves. So therefore, hydroponics. Why are we not out here doing that? I can put everybody here in the project right now that I guarantee you that most people won't budge on, but it can feed every block that we have that's in it. We will have no more food deserts. Now, part of it is with white folk, but I shouldn't have to do it with white folk. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I should be able to come to something like this and be like, yo, bro, I got a plan. That, yo, not only can we eat, because it's good to like feed your people, look out for your people, but a lot of times we kind of forget that we do have to take care of ourselves. We do have to clean ourselves. We do have to find a way to be able to be financially stable for ourselves. It's good to have balance. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, we need to change the game, yo. Property has honestly, been stolen from us. Like you say, the history, I'm hip, I love it to death. It's all I do. I don't even use the box. And history's done shown property and land is everything, and we are behind. Yeah. The reality is we're very behind.
Right. So right now, we actually own less than 1% of the major land and property in the U.S. Right now, in 2017, people of color own less than 1%. And actually, the land and property that we did used to own, like you said, we do know your history. A lot of it was stolen and taken, and we were forced off of the land. So right now, they saying if you do the research in the history, after the civil rights movement, African Americans in America, or black people in America, whatever you call yourself, people of color in America are actually doing worse off than after the civil rights movement when it comes to owning land and property. So right now, if you actually look up, if you actually look it up and look in the books and see who owns all the major land and property, right now we own less than one. So that's major rural and non-rural, major farm and non-farm. All the major lands, not just houses, like land. You understand? Like the land that the houses are on, you know? Like
it's nowhere to
so it gets so deep. Like I understand where you're coming from because I do a lot of the researching and the reading exactly on the topics that you're discussing, and it's disheartening that, you know, right now it's 2017, and we still own less than 1%.
That's based on segregation.
But let's not even harp on that. Let's not even harp on that. Let's look at the business side of that. Let me finish that one side with the food joint.
1 second though. Look, so before, you know, we were, you know, integrated, right? We own more homes.
Mm-hmm.
We own more homes. We had movie theaters. We had black-owned businesses. We had all of this.
We had land.
We had land, right? After the civil rights movement, like you said, it was a decrease in black-owned businesses, black land. You know, I mean, my grandmother owned a big plantation home in Columbia, South Carolina, right? But the interstate had to go through. So that means that eminent domain, they had to take the land and give her a fair price for the land, right? So, I mean, but that didn't happen there. That happened in Maryland as well.
John Hopkins. That's happening to my grandfather right now.
Yeah, so that happens not just in, you know, all different places there, right?
But that happened before the civil rights movement. That's how corruption happened during the Reconstruction.
Yeah, Reconstruction.
Right. Moved out. And you know that land is the source of freedom because our slavery was to what? A land. And so we got to be mindful of that. And though with this dollar program where a lot of these houses are, you know that Hogan might have these programs. Well, I'm always iffy of anything political that looks good because there's always a backside to it. So we look at where these houses are that people are redeveloping. Look where did Hogan stop? What was one of the first things he stopped? Was the red line. And he stopped the red line because the red line is going through South Baltimore where a lot of these vacant houses are. And so I asked the question, you do these dollar houses, you put people in there that will develop and eventually move out. So we got to be mindful of what they're really doing. Because this gentrification thing is a big demon. It's a big demon. You talk about mental health is a big demon because, you know, what we want, Cornel West talks about it, so we want to talk about, so we got scholars room, the penultimate deliverance. Once we were free from slavery, we wanted what the master had. We wanted the big house and we wanted the land, right? And so when the black people lived in Baltimore in the 80s and the 70s, guess what the white people did? They moved to the suburbs, to the counties. And then when we moved to the counties, when they tore down the projects back in the 80s and 90s, guess what they did? They moved past the counties to the urban sprawl. And they built the big houses, even the damn churches. The goddamn churches, look at New Saunders. One of the biggest and most impactful churches now goddamn off of Patterson Parkway. You know what I mean? And so the churches moved, they were the landowners, they were helping us maintain our land. And so now you talk about the land bank. We ain't got no land here because the institutions have moved. The institutions have moved, and so when you talk about the government coming in now, because our biggest advocate against the government, well, I don't care what you say, it was the black church. The black church put the politicians to do it. Now in the 70s, the black politicians went crazy with Jesse Jackson and the hyper organization and so forth and so on. But when you think about it, we got to be mindful of what they're actually doing. So the question becomes, do we actually buy the dollar houses, fix it up, become proponents of it, and then another 20 years, it flips on us. But I laugh, and we must be, somebody got to be active. We got the money, got the power to do it. Because my dad was about to buy a daggone warehouse in Hampton back in the 90s. And he never did it because he was like, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen, but there's a lot of stuff going on when Mayor Smoke was going out. There's a lot of money being exchanged, a lot of politics being moved around. He didn't buy the warehouse, and look what's over in Hampton right now. So we got to be mindful of what they're trying to do because we got to do it. Because if we don't do it, gentrification is going to happen again in 20 years. And when it happens, Baltimore will be white. Because John Hopkins is the biggest devil we got. It's the biggest devil we got because John Hopkins back in the 90s was fighting to get an H on the highway. And once they got an H on the highway, which meant hospital, not university, they then began to expand. So we got to be mindful of what's going on because it's not just politics we fight white privilege. And so if we're not privileged enough to understand what's going on, we're going to miss it. And the reality of it is, I'm jacked. I can publicly say I'm in debt, but I thank God for my debt because my debt took me to Morehouse. And I understand I can't go buy a dollar house. I'm jacked. Thank God I married a good woman who bought a house. I got land. You know what I mean? I'm jacked up. And guess what? I'm not going to pay back that $200,000. That is my reparation. I'm not going to pay it back. I'm going to figure out how to establish a nonprofit, to get business credit, to do what I need to do. And the reality is ways around it. I thank God for my $200,000 in debt because goddamn it, I'm bright and I'm smart and I can see what the white pig is doing because it's the white pig. Be mindful. I think I was talking to somebody about it. Be mindful of this dollar program. It's wicked. Because if the church was smart, they would buy these damn dollar houses and put these people, because the government can do it. The HUD program, the same money going through HUD is the same money that can pay for the dollar houses for black people, but they ain't going to do it. It's government assistance. Government assistance can, we got to be mindful of what's going on, y'all. We got to wake up.
But why not step away from that? That's why I was saying there's other solutions out here instead of going to like the history for real. Like, what I heard my man last time I was here say, like, what do we do now? Like, moving forward, where's the different opportunities? That's why I said we got to build, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you, bro. We got to build our AT&Ts. We got to build our banks. You see what I'm saying? And our opportunity, the point of me saying what I said last time was that, and I'm not even saying really build the bank, I'm more so using it to personify that we have to build these type of huge institutions, and it's not really much opportunity out here in property. Like I said, it's not even space for food. So eventually they're going to run out. So we have to start thinking a different way. And one thing that I say for any black brother in here, I'm telling you, and I don't have to tell you because you know, you walk out here with it. Technology is the game, and the way that we go is we go back to the motherland, as I will always say, raw. And raw ain't gonna disappear for a long time. Get in the solar game, brothers. I'm telling you, right now, the average job, you can get trained right now for 4 to 6 weeks. I can train you myself for 4 to 6 weeks. Go ahead and do your in the field job. You're gonna make $45,000. No job anywhere in the economy of the United States was close to solar last year. They had 12 times the number of any other job. 12 times the number. Technology is only going that way. And that's more so the job side, but on the bigger spectrum of what can we do as black people, we have homes, we go to schools, all the places we talked about today, we all know somebody that go to these places. It's nothing for you to sell something that don't cost for nobody. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't cost them anything. There's too many ways for you to be able to sell this. We can get off the block with this. We can get off all these pyramid schemes. We can get out all these different jobs. And on the flip side, the food, like my sister right here was saying, hydroponics. It's something called indoor vertical farming. I really had to say this to y'all today because when y'all talk about the empty places, what we really need to do is come together and we can get $10,000. $10,000. That's either 5 of us in here doing $2,000, coming down and saving money with each other. I got a savings plan for you if you want it. Or a collective group of us, we can put $5 into it every day. Indoor vertical farming, when y'all go home, take a simple look at it. It's like a shelf, like that bookshelf. And you're growing food through hydroponics, which is simple water. We can build that system with $45 fucking dollars. Excuse my language. But I get passionate when I talk about it like this because it's really, we talk about like how can we say about people being mad enough? Well, I be mad. I'm real mad. And I know a lot of people that's really mad and there's ways to do it. And the indoor vertical farming, not only is bread, look up a guy called Jack Griffin. He in Philly right now. This is our blueprint. And he already behind our back. Y'all don't even know it. It's really my man there. But Cuz is doing this in Philly. He got the mayor behind him and everybody because he's taking a shelf. He's growing his food. He's making 12 times the food anybody else in this country can make. He's the only vegan farm in the world. The world now. You see what I'm saying? Vegan farm. That means no herbicides, no pesticides, no nothing. And he's locally growing his food in the inner city. Giving his food out to the people that's around him because he grew up from the block from Rocky. He giving that away.
What is it called again?
It's his place is called Metropolis Farms. But this is called Indoor Vertical Farm.
Located where?
Huh?
Located where?
Located in Philadelphia. Inner city Philly. The same block Rocky from. Cuz we're from same joint. See what I'm saying? Puerto Rican dude. Now,
His joint is called what?
His joint is called Metropolis Farms. You can look up. He's also, I'm gonna get to other parts, he's growing weed, but as far as the food side, bro, and sisters, well, yes, he's growing all herbs, not only just weed, chickweed, he's growing vanadium, he's growing different types of flour. It gets deeper, but the importance to understand is that he's doing this at a low cost. The opportunity for the blueprint for us to do it is right in hand. We just need to utilize the space. You see what I'm saying? To go ahead and start growing food. The business side is we can now go to Giants and say, hey, we have vegan potatoes. We have vegan strawberries. They can't beat it. Go into any supermarket and find somebody that's selling vegan fruits and vegetables.
Now we make white people consumers.
Exactly. We can do it in 30 minutes, bro. 30 minutes.
Don't have space for any more questions.
I did kind of hold my man up, though. I apologize.
Who's the man? Okay, my man.
Good evening. My name is Muhammad. I applaud you guys. You know, this conversation is a beautiful conversation. Right? Minds, I'm learning. I'm a solution-oriented type of dude, and so right now, looking around, absorbing the conversation and seeing the potential right here, right, and kind of like tying this all together into something that can possibly happen right now, right? There's an issue with Target at Montgomery Mall, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool.
So that's slated to shut down soon, right?
So
that's a large amount of our people that shop at that place, right?
They're working there too.
And difficulty is opportunities also, right? So I just want to throw out there on the table the issue of collective economics, right? Collective ownership, us working together, everything that you guys are saying, right? But actually doing it, right? And us creating a blueprint for this to be done in other places, with other properties and other situations, vacant lots and stuff like that, right? So it's a lot of talent, like the talent the brother was talking about the hydroponics, and we had that talent in-house in Baltimore, you know. There's minds that's here, just like there's minds in Philly, they can do the same thing there. But it has to start somewhere in a situation like that, Target, that pressing need, and the big question mark around that, and how much opportunity is there. I think that's something that we should consider on a collective tip. That's food that can be sold there. People are already trained to go there for stuff. If those of us who have wholesome, nurturing products and services to offer the community, you know, we should pick up and present ourselves in a single spot like that. With the idea of doing something different. Like the brother said, it's not like doing what the white folks do. And then it's about us creating something new that suits our needs and feeds our communities. If we don't do that, then what are we doing it for? Just to collect stuff, you know what I mean? So we gotta shift our thinking, and we need space to do that. Free space, you know what I mean? Like this is free space for us to think, but actually do it though, you know what I mean? Because we all go back to our means of putting money in our pocket, right? And we kind of, you know, we fall off and things don't happen. Y'all know how it is. So I'm just throwing that out there, so peace.
I'm all with anything nutrition and health-based building. I know Cassine is here. I didn't know that's what you was into. So I don't know, I got 1, 2, me 3, 4 people that's into, you know, health, wellness, and nutrition. That's what I do. So we building on that. You know, I'm all in that.
Yeah. So let's talk money. What's up? Tell me how much I gotta put up. That's what I keep
I
asking.
was about to say that. So we really, I'm glad that the brother closed out with saying solution-based. We really threw out a lot of different ideas and, you know, a lot of different resources that whether we knew or we didn't know about it, but now no one can figure them out. So the way I'm feeling, like you said, you do the nutrition, you have so many different ideas in here. I don't have an expertise with some of these things. You may not, but we have that expertise in this space, and I think it's about high time that we start making these plans. And if sometimes as black people we need proof that this works, and with the hydroponics, if you want to prove this works, look at Asians. They're super on what you're talking about. Cause I watch documentaries on them. I'm huge on Asian culture for some reason, but I watch documentaries, and that's what they're doing. And they're making tons of money, and they're utilizing the space that's already there. So with that whole idea of utilizing space in the sense of what you were talking about, we have to utilize this space as well. Whether we come up with one goal, whether it be agriculture, whether it be housing or whatever, but if that's what we are deciding to do, I mean, we are more than capable to do that. And whoever is the expert, because I don't believe in this whole thing of leadership that one person, because everybody is a leader in their own right. Everybody is a master of their own trade. Whoever is an expert in, whether it be agriculture or housing, please bring a plan. Please bring a proposal. Please bring a date. Please bring an amount of money. Please bring what the next step is for us to put action towards these amazing ass ideas. And again, as we were saying, there are many groups that are doing this already. Nation building, you see Nation of Islam, they're huge with their agriculture, for example, just for example. So there are examples that we could work off of and make them work right here in our cities. But at the end of the day, as I've always said every week, if someone said right now, let's start doing it, are we all going to put our hands on deck and do that shit? Are we all going to really move forward to doing that? So that's something that I think we need to keep in our heads. If anybody who's an expert in any of these different fields I named, please bring the information, bring the plan, and let's start mapping out dates. Let's bring a calendar, let's bring a big whiteboard and say, okay, we want to get to this level. We're here now. This is what we need to do there to do that, so everybody knows the part that they have to play to move this vehicle towards the promised land, per se. At this juncture of this event, I'm going to pass it over to my brother Rashad, because he has an activity.
Cool. Yo, this is dope. Thanks everybody for coming. It's growing. The energy's growing. Yeah, it's more solution oriented. Let me come down. Well, because today we spoke on it, and the brother ignited as well. I believe in sometimes taking morality back up and allowing us to identify low-hanging fruits in our small accomplishments of collective investment as a family and as a group, especially here at Shop Talk. We talked about it and it looked like we're identifying bigger projects that we can accomplish and make it real big wins. So I think that's the next one. What we often do when we started this 2 weeks ago and we ended with a small win because it sees it's relevant now and it's visible now. We invested in Urbanity Black and allowed the brother to get some of his technology and things that he needed to purchase to make sure that we record this and capture this because it needs to be promoted and it needs to be replicated in other spaces. So I want us to take a time out to acknowledge our small win, which is a large win of investing in ourselves as family, and that's with our win with Urbanity Black. If y'all don't know, we've been going live. We've been here since day one, since the first Shop Talk.
Thank y'all, man. I really appreciate it.
Brother, we've been going live on his own YouTube channel and his own production. And if you follow Urbanity Black, it's broadcasting and it's highlighting the black narrative across this country in the most optimistic way. And this brother has taken time to highlight and give a platform to a lot of people that's already in their space and their respective space as well. So tap yourselves on the shoulder for investing in that, brother. And we're going to continue on until we're going into the new year. So our first collective pot that we're doing is going straight to his production thing, right? And then from there on, we're going to start to do a collective pot where those that are in here and that are consistent enough, you'll put your name and your project and your initiative into a lottery. And we're going to start collecting dues, not dues, but money that you willingly donate, whatever you got at that moment when you come. And we're going to give that to the person that wins, and that person is going to go for 1 to 2 months. They're going to have that time to collect that money. So that's 4 times to collect monies and dues to go towards whatever your initiative is. The following 2 months after that, we pick somebody else, and we continue that. So if you have that master plan to do home development, urban farming and agriculture, and that's your initiative, that pot that we collect for that first 2 months is going to go towards your investment. And you got to be unselfish enough as a leader to then give back the same amount that was given back to you to make somebody else's dream come to fruition. All right? So I want us to do that as well. If from day one, it's definitely a safe space. It's the Shop Talk is one of the only black places that is a safe haven and a pinnacle in the black community. They always make the conversation more enriching. All right? So I want to acknowledge the black queens in the space. You know, and definitely to get them when they speak to capture their moment, so we can show other young ladies that view us that they can be respected and open to come into this space as well. Right? There's people coming back. Even Mark said he wasn't coming back. Mark went here. End of the day, I appreciate it though, bro. But I wanted to give this time out. If y'all was here 2 weeks ago, we did something on perspective. And we following a very thoughtful agenda now. And our agendas are very thoughtful when it comes to opening topics, themes, and things of that sort. activity as a group, and then an action solution-oriented approach that we all lead with. And that's been a follow of our agenda. Our agenda tonight has been drafted by Rudy, and Chinadu has been our moderator and facilitator throughout the day. So even though Rudy's not here, his presence and his thoughts are still here, right? But 2 weeks ago, we followed off and we did an initiative where we talked about building each other up. And Sister Monique came towards the end. It was like sometimes we can't just acknowledge all the optimism and the positivity. Sometimes we gotta allow ourselves to be vulnerable in our own space, especially if it's a safe haven. And sometimes exude and pronounce all the things and the flaws, the insecurities and things that we have as people to then acknowledge them so we can then correct them. So I wanted to do this portion where pick that back up to a part 2, but I wanted to do it in a much informative manner, in a sense to make sure that we're conscious of each other's energies and vibrations in the space. Right, so we're going to do 2-part segment. Sister Monique, if you wanted to, I want you to tell about why you wanted to do that, and then I'll need the activity to bounce off of what you did. All right, and then we're going to do the Who Are You at the end of this to build it back up. And then my brother Gerald, we're going to show a short clip of Cosmic Slops. Has anybody ever heard of Cosmic Slops? All right, so brother George, after that initiative, he's going, so we probably go to 11 today. And we got to be cognitive of time. So we're going to do these 2 activities of, I call it opening up your closet. Right? And then the Who Are You at the end. We're going to try to do that within the next 30 minutes. And then Gerald is going to give you an introduction to what Cosmic Slops is, and that plays off of perception. And everything we talked about today is pictured in this one video, and it's only 33 minutes. And it's the dopest video ever, but we want to pick your minds as well to see what do you extract from that, what stood out, and how would you go towards using this visual imagery to move the thought forward, right? And that's going to be a pilot to our initiatives that me and him are both campaign Black Male Achievement Fellows. And throughout the next year, going into 2019, we're going to be doing visual productions, film screenings across the city, showing certain clips, images, and videos, and underlying messages from productions and movies, all of that throughout the years to show how to reimagine and redirect the narrative of Black men and Black boys across this country. So this is going to be a pilot. We wanted to do a test run with our own family first to see how we gather it and then go from there. So I appreciate y'all. No, we're going to do it. If you have to leave, you don't have to stay. We usually go to 10:30, so if you gotta go, we respect the fact that you gotta go. People, you gotta work tomorrow. But we want to get this out as well because we're going to keep pushing. So we're going to do that. We'll give like a 1-minute intro, and then I'm going to show y'all how we're going to do this activity. But just tell us why you wanted to do that while I pass out this speak. I got you.
So, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about, and I feel like the strength is being able to identify the things that you're not so proud about, or the things that you don't have all together, or the things that you're working on. And it's human to be flawed. You're not God. But to be able to identify that I'm struggling with loneliness, or I'm struggling with grief, I'm struggling with not having the support